Hey everyone, it's Mare with SickMom, checking in for day 6, Carnivore. It's amazing. So wanted to just go over what it's been like telling people in the last week that I've started eating this way. I expected a variety of responses, we'll say, not reactions. I think the people who are really close to me, they've been on this journey with me for a long time. And I've mentioned previously that there have been a lot of other eating plans that I have been asked to partake in and see if they would actually make a difference. So, this isn't new for my family or for my really close friends. They've been there, they've seen me order the weirdest things in restaurants, and I don't know, I think people kind of expect that now because depending on how I was eating and how clean I was eating, and if I was eating stuff that I was intolerant to or not, or if it was just a special treat for the day, it would just change on a day-to-day basis. And that's just kind of how life goes, right? You can't expect perfection all the time, especially when you're following something that's really, I don't know, some of the eating plans I've been on have been pretty unpleasant with the results and also just palatability overall. And I'm a foodie. I love food. And whenever I have to make a decision when it comes to eating a certain way, I know I'm going to be letting go of certain things. I don't look at it as can't have or denying it. I just look at it and I go, no, you know what? I just know that that's not serving me well right now, and I can take a break. It's always my choice what ends up on my plate and what I end up eating. But I do have to say, and I did say this to her before talking to my mom, I was nervous. I was nervous, almost a little bit scared. The reason for that, there's a whole story of our family medical history, but with my dad, because not only he was overweight, but he had heart disease, and heart disease is rampant on my dad's side of the family. We're French, so there was always a lot of really nice desserts and cake and cookies, and my dad was the youngest of 12 kids, and he grew up eating lots of sweets and treats, and he was the baby of the family, so kind of get it, right? It's nice to eat things that taste nice. However, when I was talking to my mom, I just said, what I need the most right now is your support and understanding. And absolutely, like my mom, she, we had a very good conversation about nutrition and different food groups, and what the potential impact of eating this way could be. And my mom was a nurse for 47 years, and she had a husband who had heart disease and had to watch his weight. She is probably one of the most well-versed people I know when it comes to nutrition. Because, when Dad was going to the registered dietitian, and as a correction, I said nutritionist the other day. Dad was not being followed or being recommended eating plans by a nutritionist. It was a registered dietitian. And let's be clear that there's a very big difference between a registered dietitian and a nutritionist, because a nutritionist can get certifications off the internet that they literally have to do no work for. Not all of them. So please, if you are a nutritionist and you studied your ass off, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the ones who go for the piece of paper because they think they know it all. But registered dietitians have to do at least 4 years of university before they can get accredited, and that they usually end up going on and do further study because nutrition is a very complex subject. Anyhow, so just flipping back to my mom quickly, it was a lovely conversation, and I really feel like it was so valuable to have her insight. And and she brought up all of the things that I was kind of expecting, same kind of conversation with my sister, who also, well, you know, we have heart disease in the family. It's like, yes, I completely acknowledge that we have heart disease. I'm also very confident at this moment right now, okay, just in results other people have had and in newer research that's come out in the last 10 years or so that I've also been following about eating saturated fat. I always used a lot of coconut oil, and recently I started using ghee, which ghee is just clarified butter. And I always felt better when I had more fat in my diet to begin with. So olive oil, coconut oil, ghee were kind of my go-to. Every now and again, a little bit of butter. But that's something that I really felt was beneficial to me. So this is, being on carnivore is not counter to that. It's just we're getting saturated fat from a different fat source. And that they're now talking about how saturated animal fat is not necessarily the culprit in high cholesterol and heart disease. So if you haven't read any of those articles, and there's a lot of research out there on this subject, so it might be worth a gander just to go and have a look. Just find a research paper online that, you know, discusses a really well-controlled study or a longevity study. You know, that those are the kinds of things that I look for if I'm looking for not a white paper is more of like an information technology thing, but if I'm looking for a document that's based on research, you know, you want to make sure that there are good controls, that they're following scientific method with their experiments. All experiments are not created the same, and all research is not the same. You want to make sure that as much subjective data is taken out of that so that it's very objective. Talking to my mom was great, and she's just a wonderful person. My mom's 80 and she is sharp as a tack. She just is one of the most wonderful people I have in my life. And talking with her and getting that off my chest, because I've been thinking about it all week. I'm like, how am I going to tell my mom that I've become a meatitarian? How do you tell your mom that you are a meatitarian? But we did also acknowledge that we've always both felt better throughout our lives when we've had meat and a good protein source in it. I could never give up meat to become a vegetarian full on forever. Never. I've done stints, as I've mentioned previously. But, you know, it's really important to also take into consideration that, and I have considered this, not everyone is built the same. Just because one person got results eating this way and that it treated their chronic illnesses or rare illnesses in the case of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for me, because I know that it might not be the magic bullet that I've been looking for. And I always think that it's a combination of factors that will contribute to your overall health picture. It's never just one aspect. So diet is one aspect. And I firmly believe diet is not something that you go on. Okay, so when people say, I'm on a diet, no. Diet is what you do every day. Diet is what foods you have in your house, what you choose to eat on a daily basis. And, you know, even if you are deciding to cut out certain things, doesn't necessarily mean that you have to put yourself on a punitive diet. Starving yourself is not healthy. And I've known a lot of people who have had different eating disorders, and a lot of those eating disorders, according to them, as it's been described to me, there's certain ones that it's more about control. Others, it's more about body dysmorphia. And the food issues come when there's an unhealthy body image, or that they feel like they have such a lack of control. I'm very fortunate. I like to eat too much and I hate throwing up. And I've never even considered, like, you know, that I should go to that kind of extreme measure, because I know that then your body starts cannibalizing itself, and that's bad. And for people who are dealing with, you know, anorexia or bulimia, it's life-threatening, people. If you know someone who has an eating disorder, I'm just going to ask you, please do what you can to be supportive of them. And that's not, hey, you need to eat another hamburger. That's like, hey, how are you doing? Yeah. So anyway, we'll probably have some interviews with people that I know who have recovered from their food issues or eating addictions or eating disorders, because I want you people to hear from them what it was like. And there's a lot of secrecy involved when people are trying to conceal the fact that they're either not eating or that they're binging and purging. And you have to think of the impact and the toll that that takes on somebody's mindset over time, right? So we'll leave it at that for today. But if you are having challenges talking with your family or friends and you just don't know what to say, sometimes the best thing to do is to just take a deep breath and spit it out. That's what I ended up having to do. And I talked to my daughter afterwards and I said, hey, honey, you know, mommy is 45 years old and there's still some stuff that I'm scared to talk to my mom about, but I did it. And she gave me the biggest hug, and she knows what that's about, because at 11, she's in a place where there's a lot of stuff that are really scary to talk to mom and dad about, you know. They're figuring themselves out, going through puberty, having all of these hormones. It's not that far away that I don't remember at least a good part of what that felt like. So I'm trying to respect my daughter's individual journey, and I know that she very much respects mine. And it's lovely to have a child who is so supportive, and talking to her about mom being a mutitarian and all of that was also quite funny, because her reaction was like, what? But she also understands, because she's grown up with a sick mom. She's grown up watching her mom go from periods of nearly average health, and I'm not going to use the word normal here. Okay, it's interesting because a lot of people say, oh, well, what normal this, normal health, normal eating. No, that's average. What is normal for each individual is different. My normal looks nothing like my sister's normal or my best friend's normal, or other people that I know. Our normals are all different. So you have to cater your journey to your individual experience. And that's what I'm trying to do right now. I really hope that you've enjoyed this little segment, and I am coming out from under a migraine. That headache I had yesterday did turn out to be a migraine. Thankfully, I have enough tools in my toolbox that I can manage my migraines. This was just a little one, and I think it had more sinus involvement than anything else, but I was concerned I wasn't able to make a video for all of you today. So I'm very glad that I did. So give us a big thumbs up that the migraine's gone. Yay! Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you know when the next videos are coming out. And tomorrow is probably going to be a recap of the week's events. So I'm looking forward to putting that together for you and seeing what day 7 looks like, having a week of carnivore under my belt. So have a great evening, people, and we'll see you on Monday. This is SickMom checking out.